Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's August 1st, 2023, and I thought it's time for another garden update. So we're over here in the western garden plot. This morning I did some weeding, some cultivating with the tilther and the paths you'll see in a moment. Thea did spend some time getting all the weeds, including the bindweed, out. Now, of course, we can't get it all out from the honeyberry bushes all the way around the outside here. And still have to prune and get those ready for the rest of the season. But we'll discuss that when we get the opportunity. Right now, we've just been very busy. The blueberries, it's slowing down now. A lot of the blueberries there's much fewer blueberries. And the ratio, so Thea would usually come out twice a day, in the morning after doing her chores, and get about 3/4 of a gallon to a gallon of blueberries, and then in the evening when things cooled off as well. And at that time, the production of ripe blueberries, the number of ripe blueberries exceeded the number that the birds were consuming, because the birds flock in here, and the mulberry tree as well. There are just hundreds of them you'll see going in and getting them. Right now, the birds seem to be winning, so I don't know how many more blueberries she'll be able to get out of the plants. But as soon as they're ripe, the birds know to get them. And there's still some bushes with quite a few on them, but we'll see. So I ran the tilther down here this morning. I used the hand cultivator as well. Honeyberries are looking pretty good. Still haven't pruned them yet. I've got to do that. And I'll take some hardwood cuttings as well, so I could start some more honeyberries. We really like those a lot. I just started going down this row here, the weed mat. So wherever the staples are, the really tiny seeds will get in there, like the purslane, and they will get started. And once they get big enough, they die back, a quackgrass or something like that can get in there. So I go down and I scuff it up with my feet, let the sun bake on it some, and get those up. So I'll end up taking care of the weed mats here. Hopefully I do it before the next update. We'll see if I can get it done. But the honeyberries, they looking real good with the weeding around them now. As I said, blueberries, not as much at this point. And I have to get rid of, I could see I got this small tree started in there. I'll have to get rid of that. So I should do that right away. And again, using the tilther to go down the main paths. Use the collinear hoe. This morning I used a strap hoe, the collinear hoe, the wire whip, all of those, and the tilther to do the bigger areas. So the thornless blackberries are doing pretty well. I'll have to get some taller stakes out here. Some of them are still establishing the roots from the ones that I transplanted over the last couple of weeks. But by and large, I'm really happy overall with how the thornless blackberry plants are looking at this point. So we'll give them some chance. And again, in July, the hottest part of July, transplanting these guys in here, real happy with how successful they are so far. So looking good. We'll take this. Yesterday we got to take most of the day off. We both worked in the mornings, but one of our buddies, Rudy, came up from Florida. He moved away from here about 30 years ago when we moved down to Ithaca to go to Cornell. And boy, you know, it was so good seeing our buddy again. We did visit him about a year ago, him and his wife Judy, in Florida. About 10 years ago, I think it was now. But it's really nice to have good people for good friends. So that's the western garden plot. It's still looking really well. Some more weeding to do in here. But as you know, I don't get to all the weeding as soon as I'd like to get to it. I have been working in both forests, working in those areas. The lawn really needs to be mowed. But mowing takes me a day and a half, about a full 12 hours, 12 to 14 hours of mowing. But when it gets real tall, as it is in some places, it might be a full 2 days. Comfrey's overhanging again. This is the second growth cycle of the comfrey. I did plant the white clover underneath it here some. That's just starting to get established. The clover's down here as well, along with some volunteer lamb's quarter and some Pennsylvania smartweed in there as well. This is our row of acorn squash here. They're doing pretty well. Pretty happy with them. Tomatoes aren't quite ready yet, but these are San Marzano tomatoes. Beautiful tomatoes. And we got one pepper down there, a jalapeno pepper down there as well. And I believe that this is the Georgia sweet candy squash here. This is butternut squash, I believe, right here. I didn't plant the seeds myself. I think that's a watermelon down here at the end. We only had one that took off. And I'm not sure. I think we got Blue Hubbard over here. These couple over here in the end. And this is probably a honeydew or a cantaloupe. That's probably a cantaloupe now that I see it there. So, really appreciate the weed mats. I did some weeding with the weed whacker around the perimeters. I still haven't gotten the fencing up around here. Just a little slow because the weeds are going like gangbusters around here, as I'm sure they are in many of your places, your gardens around there. It's a real challenge, extra work. Here's a bunch of the weeds that I pulled out this morning from going in the hoop trellis here. So these are the scarlet red runner beans, and man, the hummingbirds have just been over here constantly. Really love them. Again, I did plant some of the white clover down in the center here. We'll see how well it takes off. It really looks like it's not doing much, but I came down here and pulled a lot of the weeds out this morning. And again, the Pennsylvania smartweed. And you may notice that the mulch looks a little bit disturbed down here. So we sheet mulched both sides when we put the scarlet red runner beans in. And we're blessed to have some of the great grandchildren of raccoons that we released here back in the 80s when we ran the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, Hidden Acres Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. And I made videos about that in the past. So you can go back and look at that. But the raccoons, we have one female that came in with 7 babies, and they climb up on top of the Harbor Freight greenhouse that's attached to the house there, and used to go through underneath the climb down under the polycarbonate. They pull it up, go underneath it, and go into the Harbor Freight at nighttime and eat all the cat food and the dog food. Then they started coming in through the doggy door into the house after Hank passed away. So what we ended up doing was closing off the Harbor Freight each night. And then they're up there scratching. We have a window in our bedroom above the Harbor Freight, and all the little babies are trying to come in. And so we kept that closed off. But what they do is they come in here at nighttime, and they dig up all of the earthworms and all along in the mulch on each side. This is where the garlic was. The garlic is curing very well. So it's at the point where the main stalk coming up from the garlic bulb itself is nice and firm, so it's okay to cut that and cut the roots off. I don't know if I'll make a video about it, but they're just about finished curing right now, so they can be processed. So this is the cover crop. So right now we have what do we have here? We have winter rye and soybean. So that's a soybean there. So a nitrogen fixer and a real nice heavy-duty carbon sequester there. The raspberry plants, I came down this morning with the stirrup hoe and the collinear hoe here and did some weeding. I brought the weed whacker in yesterday or the day before and weed whacked down some of the taller stuff in here. So here are the red raspberry plants that we transplanted this spring, and those tiny little buggers and all. So when I was doing the whacking, not the whacking, weed whacking, but when I was doing the stirrup hoe and the collinear hoe out here this morning, I pulled the staples, staples that hold down the drip tape irrigation system, and so I wouldn't damage it at all. So I really should mulch this again, maybe even sheet mulch the sides of this. Just feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I think I can get that done. Here, this is where the shallots were. So I harvested the shallots at the end of last week after the video. So you can see there's winter rye, and you can see it's a week earlier, a week and a half earlier, maybe 2 weeks earlier than the stuff that came out of the garlic over there. So this is what it looks like. You can see some of the seed down here. So that right there is a soybean, and this is the winter rye coming up. So we'll see how well this does here. These are the russet potatoes. Haven't done any more with those other than doing the weed whacking around the outsides to decrease the amount of weeds working their way up and dropping seed into this bed. I still don't see any exposed potatoes in here, so nothing turning green that I could see, but I'm always wrong a little bit with that. So there'll always be a couple of potatoes that have a little bit of green, but by and large real happy with how they're doing. Now we won't consider harvesting them probably for at least another week. We really want them to start turning yellow, and they just have a hint of a yellowish tint to the stalk, so we want them to fall over, die back some, and then we'll start harvesting these potatoes, russet potatoes. So again, this is where the Dutch red shallots were. They're doing pretty good, the cover crop. 2 rows of red raspberry plants, another cover crop where the garlic was, our scarlet red runner beans. We love this trellis system for the beans. It really works out so well. And we love watching the beautiful hummingbirds as well. Sweet potatoes, doing pretty well. I did a little bit of weeding over here. I need to do some more. Calendula and black-eyed Susan's doing well over here. I believe that Thea did put some, chamomile is doing well right here. I believe that Thea did put some calendula in here as well. And so the sweet potatoes, I think, are looking really good. Hopefully we'll have another good harvest this year. And I will do the same thing as last year. Instead of doing the sweet potato slips like we've done in the past, we'll just go ahead and use the roots, transplant the roots into some pots, and those will be the same plants. So these same plants will be around for years and years. The handicap beds, not much going on here. Again, the shoots that we've stuck in here from when we transplanted the thornless blackberry plants last season, they aren't doing so well. So, but the honeyberries, those hardwood cuttings, geez, really pretty darn good. Cannot complain. And of course, there's always some weeding to do. Let's see. The white oaks, no big difference. Big loss with our white oaks. We've been over that in the past. The swamp white oaks, big loss with those, but they're doing, the ones that are still there are doing okay. This is the IBC that's done the best with the swamp white oaks. Here we have the chestnut trees, and again, I've got to get over here and weed some more. Oh Lord. Try to get those roots out. So these are the chestnut trees here. The kale, it was parsley that was in here last time, and these are some young honey locusts in here. and that's an oregano there. So this is where we're getting our kale from right now. Our English oaks, they're doing pretty well. Cannot complain at all. And this one that looked dead, hell, there's a little bit of life coming back to it. Don't know if you can see that, but these English oaks are doing well. And I won't go over there too close, but the sage, as I've said before, has gone to seed. The thyme is going to seed now. Thea had already done a lot of dehydrating of the herbs. So the lavender she's already done. I think she did the rest of these. I don't know that she's done the oregano yet. But really successful with this herb garden. And you see the purslane's going to flower now. So it's got to get these purslane out of here. There is a strawberry underneath there someplace. I have to do some weeding over here in this bed. Yep. They're just covering up the... Of course, we have a sightseer here now. And yeah, I've got to weed around these guys, so it's hard to even see how the strawberries are doing. Sorry about the sound effects from our aeronautic adventures. It's a beautiful sunny day, and it's not overly hot, so there will be some flying going on around here. Oh, this is our, so these are red maples. These are only, I think, about 12 years old, these red maples, and this peach is probably 5 years old now. So as I was walking by there, I was going to go up front and show you the Japanese maple trees up front, that front garden. But when I walked by this peach, it reminded me, so you know that we had a tree blow over and take out half of one peach tree about a week ago. There was a honey locust tree that split. Not really sure why that split. And it took out a whole bunch of pears, Asian pears, persimmons, part of a peach tree, some red buds, and so on and so forth. Then we had the deer pull probably 3/4 of a peach tree down. And now, the other day, I missed it, so it must have been down for about 3 days. The deer pulled down another really beautiful peach tree up in the 3rd food forest. And since I didn't get to it in time, they kept pulling it down and even snapped off the trunk. And that peach tree was put in just a year before this one was, so it was a little bit bigger than this one. So when you put this stuff in, you want to keep an eye on it as much as you can. Thin the fruit. Don't overdo it with trees like we do. That might be wise. But anyways, here, oh, that's one of our feral cats. He's a little bit deaf. It's okay, handsome. It's the old man, old gray. It's okay. So the irises are doing well. The oregano is going to seed here. Don't forget to see it. So this is oregano. There's some more thyme. Irises. More thyme. Always looks rough at the end of the season. And we got some grasses in here. Oh, got more work to do. Irises, the Japanese maples. Here we have the fiddlehead ferns. You can see some of them are starting to come up again. Flowers are going to seed now with the hostas. And oh my goodness, I haven't been up here this week. So there's some weeding to do up here, I see. Well, as you can see, it seems like there's always something to do, something to keep us busy. And I really need to get out into the forest and get some work done out there as well. But I hope everyone's doing well with their gardens. Keep rubbing my face because some of my hairs are running around in my face. So I hope everybody's staying safe, enjoying the weather. It's cooled down a lot. It's just going to be in the 70s for a few days this week. Tomorrow it's going to be in the 80s, but man, this is nice not having those heat waves and all. And I hope people are doing better all around the country. My heart goes out to you, those folks dealing with the big heavy rains, the floods, the high winds, and certainly the smoke. All of those issues that folks are dealing with, and certainly the heat wave. So take good care of yourselves, stay safe, and get outside and enjoy it whenever you can. Bye-bye now.